Hey, everybody. Hey, welcome. It's Robin here, Robin Nolan, and we are live. This is a live with Robin session for the Gypsy Jazz Transfusion Club members, and welcome. Just when you're joining this, if you're watching this live, let me just switch over to the transfusion site. If you're watching this live, just give us a hi. John's in the house from sunny, if cold, Scotland. Bob is in from Southern California. Welcome, Bob. Fantastic. Jan Hendricks is in Andalusia in Sevilla. Volker, oh, that's a question. But anyway, just say hi when you join. I'm just tuning in so I can see the comments. And Zachariah says something about A flat is a triphone of D7. Okay. Anyway, it's Robin. I'm in the kitchen in Amsterdam. And in this session, okay, which is a live session, which I will put in the archive at the Live with Robin section of the campfire, we're going to look at swing gitan, okay? The Gypsy Jazz standard swing gitan. And we're going to learn the melody, and we're going to look at some soloing ideas for swing gitan. I've got a little kind of lesson plan here, which I'll be working through, and I'll post this in the, when I post the video. And also I've got some charts, which some of you will be happy to know. Some charts from this lesson I've already posted in the Live with Robin Swing Gitan Part 2 section of the campfire. Neil's in from Birmingham. Welcome, Neil. Great. So we're going to learn the melody to Swing Gitan. In the Part 1 section, just in case you missed that, then we looked at the chords and the rhythm for Swing Gitan. And this one, we're looking at a melody, ways to embellish the melody, and then some solid ideas you can use for your solos over this chord progression. I'd like to welcome all new members. If you're a new member, then big warm welcome. These Live with Robin sessions can be fun, and it's a way that I can answer your questions live, and you can ask them ahead of the show as well. So I've got some questions which I'll answer at the end, and let's get straight into it. So swing gitan. The melody, let's learn the melody. So it's this one that goes ba dee do do dee do 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 dee do 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 dee do do. Okay, that's the first section of the melody. And if you learn these shapes, these little like those two notes, right? Even before you learn the phrasing, just learn. If you learn that, so it's on the 7th fret on the G string. By the way, the melody is also posted in the chart, which is in the section, the Live with Robin, where I basically archive all these sessions. So you can refer to the chart as well. So I'm not going to dwell on the melody too long. I think it's more about soloing in this session. But the melody goes like this. So learn that shape, right? That's the D and the B flat. Slide it down a fret. Right, it's the C sharp and A to go over the A7, then over the D7. We've got 5th fret on the G string, 5th fret on the top E string, and then that slides down 2 frets. So you kind of got these shapes. That's over the A7. Kind of a good way to kind of remember the melody and kind of remember that fingering. And it sounds, that could sound nice in your solo as well, you know. Over the A7, D7, G minor. So the actual articulation of the melody goes like this, like. So as simple as that. Bum, bum, boo, bee, dum, dum, boo, boo, dee, da, do, do, dee, da, do, 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 dee. Right, again. Da, do, do, dee, da, do, do, dee, da, do, do, dee, da, do, do, do. Okay, so that's the first bit of the melody. Really straightforward, but it's important to learn it this way first, so then you can kind of embellish it afterwards. Then the harmony goes to A flat major, right? So we go. So what we're going to do for this bit of the melody, we're going to play the first beat of the bar, an A flat major chord. Okay, A flat major. You can use the bar chord or this one with the thumb. Right, those 4 notes. Okay, so you hit the first beat of the bar, then you go up this arpeggio. Okay, this is A flat major, right? Yeah, so there's the A flat. It's the A flat triad. That's A flat, C, and E flat. And we're going to go a step before the A flat, up to the A flat. So, and up to the 6th. That's the 6th of A flat. That's that sound. Right, very typical sound in this kind of music. So you're going to play that phrase. You're going to go. When you hit that note, what sounds really cool is bending it from a fret below up to the note itself again, right? So that phrase in slow motion would be 3, 4, A flat, 3, 4. Right, that's what we're playing on the A flat. And just so you know, the chart, which I've posted in the Live with Robin section in the Campfire for this lesson, it does have that written out. Okay, so you can see it in tab and in music form. So if you're not able to keep up live, then please refer to that chart, because that'll help you out with the fingering. So far we got the melody. Now we do that A flat, and then we're back to the G minor. Welcome, Andreas from Hamburg in Germany. Welcome. So we got bum do do dee, A7, ba do bo be, D7, ba do bo be, back home, ba bo bo be, up to A flat major. Okay, so that's what we got so far. Okay, then we've got 2 bars of A7. Okay, we're just learning the tune, by the way. If you're just joining, we're learning the melody to Swing She Tan. Then we're going to learn how to solo on these chord changes. You've got two bars of A7, 2 bars of D7. And this is a nice little thing which I like to do in the melody and go. Okay, so for A7, we can use this diminished on the 2nd fret. See that? Kind of sounds a bit flamenco-y. So that's going to sound good. Whatever you do with it, it's going to sound good when you play over an A7 chord. So the A7 chord is going right. You go. It's quite a nice thing to do. Go up every 3 frets using a diminished. Right, up to the 11th fret. And then the harmony changes to D7. And you just drop a fret and come back down every 3 frets. Right, so if we loop that 4 bars, 2 bars of A7, 2 bars of D7, we've got this. Drop a fret, back to A7, drop a fret. Okay, so that's what we're going to play for the A7 and D7. This again is in the chart, so you can check it all out. So far, there's that shape. A flat. A7 now. D7. Second half is the same as the first half. Right? D7. Then back home. Then we got the A flat. Then at the ending, we're going to go. Okay, so that's what we're going to do at the end, which is different than in the middle. So we're going to go. Right. So it's again using that diminished shape for the A7 on the second fret, sliding it up 3 frets. Once you're here, this is a really useful shape. When you keep your pinky there and you drop the other 3 fingers, you get that nice tension, which is D7 tension. And the pinky, and then back home to G minor 9, then a D7, right? Again, this is all written out in the chart, which you can refer to. So that last bit. Okay, that's a bit. Brent says, didn't catch it going up to the 10th fret. Yeah, so we're going like this, Brent. We're going on the A7. That's the 11th there. Then when it goes to D7, drop a fret, then it's 10th. Drop every 3 frets. Yeah. So that's a kind of useful thing to know in your kind of soloing mind, that if it's going A7, right, you can go. You can use diminished harmony over the dominant 7th. And it's kind of handy to know on the guitar where you can do that. So for A7, I kind of think of it physically. I see there's the 2nd fret, and I know that whatever diminished thing I can use, I'm going to start basically on the 2nd fret. And as we know, every 3 frets is the same notes, just jumbled up different way. So it's going to sound great. So okay, D7, drop a fret. Okay, so if we put the whole tune of Swing Gitan together, it'll sound like this. And when you practice a tune, when you're learning a new tune, so if this is a new tune for you, then my advice, or what I do, is just concentrate on that one tune. So I haven't got like 10, 5, 6, 7 kind of tunes that I'm trying to learn all at the same time. I just concentrate on one tune and kind of really obsess on that tune until it's really absorbed. Bob has a question. I'm poking around the site but can't find it. Where is the chart for the melody? If you go to the campfire section, okay, the campfire section, then go to the Live with Robin section. Then within the Live with Robin section, go to Swing Gitan Part 2. That's what this lesson is. Go to Swing Gitan Part 2. If you open up that, you'll see the charts there. I put 4 charts there. One is for the melody and the chords. Bob was asking that question, so that's where you can find it. And that's where this video, once it's not live anymore, that's where it'll live. And I've also got some backing tracks I'm going to add to that little section, okay? All about Swing Gitan. So that's the melody. Let's just do it again. And like I say, just kind of get into the melody, learn it, memorize it off by heart, and don't kind of get distracted by learning other things, but just think, I'm going to learn Swing Gitan, and then I'm going to know it. It's better to learn one tune really well than 5 tunes that you half know. Because when you're sitting in a jam session, the last thing you want to do is always flustering, looking around for paper and books and stuff. So try and just learn one tune at a time. Just definitely works for me. So here we go, Swing Gitan. So, right, you got it. Great, great, Brent. Here we go. So, da, 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 A flat. A7. Okay. Second half. A flat. that's the tune for Swing She Tan. So if you've got any questions about that melody, then fire away. Otherwise, like I say, you'll find that chart attached to this lesson. And if you weren't sure of some of the fingerings, then you can get it there. Advice is to try and memorize the melody. It's quite simple. Sing it, try and sing it in your best you can, like like I do. I kind of try and sing it just to try and internalize the whole thing. Kind of helps me. So now the next section. So that's the basic melody. Here's the really fancy lesson plan here. So number 2 is embellishing the melody, and that's kind of key, really, because when you learn a melody, like Sweet Georgia Brown, you're not always just going to play it like that. Just like you're not going to always play Swing She Tan like. Not going to play like this. This way to learn it really helps you learn it, because it kind of cuts out the distractions of all the embellishments. Bob says, found it. That's great news, Bob. So like I'm saying, there's the melody in its basic skeletal form, like I just taught. And now we're going to look at embellishing the melody. And it's kind of worth learning the melody in its simplest form first off, because that's easier. And then you can kind of think, okay, that's what's going on. That's what's going on. And then when you embellish it, if I was playing the melody for real now, I'll just play it and see what happens. I go. So it's kind of got these like, right? So that's one way of embellishing that phrase. The original phrase is. Okay, but we might go. Okay, and basically what's happening there is this action. We've got the B flat there on top, right? The D and the B flat. We're embellishing the B flat. We're going. Okay, and this is really key. This is a really key phrase in the whole of gypsy jazz. You hear this all the time, so it's really worth kind of looking at this little bit. And what's happening? We're going. Okay, so say it's just going G minor, right? That's what we're playing over here. We want it to sound like this. Okay, so what's happening in slow motion? We pick the B flat, then pinky goes to the C, and then we pull off back to the B flat, pick the A. So if we just get into the B flat, the C, the B flat, and the A, it's like this. 3, 4. 3, 4. So it's basically da 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 da. 1, 2, 3, 4. Da 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 da. And this little thing here, this is the embellishment. This is the real kind of little thing which ornaments it really, basically. But the basic movement is going da 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 da. Where are you going? Hear it? So it's with the picking hand, it's down, down, pull off, down, down. So all downs, but you've got that pull off. So if you can get that little phrase right, you've got it all over the place, You've got the same rhythmical embellishment, which always uses the same pattern. So if you can get that off, it really can kind of bring all your melodies and your solo lines, give it this kind of gypsy jazz flavor. So see, I'm doing the same thing with the A there. And it doesn't matter if you go, or you can't really hear the note that you're playing with the pinky, right? So say you're just playing over A7, you could just practice this. 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. 3, 4. Slow motion. Okay. So 3, 4. Okay. And this little ornamentation will really kind of give you playing that kind of flavor in gypsy jazz. Another tip when you're just talking about soloing, if you're learning to solo over swing gitan, this piece, for example, instead of always practicing over the whole form, if there's a bit which you're having trouble with, like, for example, going from G minor, 2 bars, to A7 for 2 bars, right? Before you kind of get out of your depth, and then it's D7, and it's just practice going between G minor and A7, and just get your phone and record very simply, just playing 2 bars of G minor, right? 2 bars of A7. It doesn't have to be all fancy swing kind of thing, right? And then just go G minor. It's just a little tip that you don't have to always practice over the whole form of the tune, but kind of focus in on little areas which you're having trouble, getting through smoothly when you're soloing. Okay, I digress. So we were looking at the melody and embellishing the melody, and the main bit of embellishing this melody is this little phrase. Okay, so you're always going to use that phrase when you can. Okay, so I'll play one chorus through swing gitan, embellishing it, and see if you can spot that rhythmical ornamentation pattern. So 1, 2, 3, 4. A flat. There it is again. Diminish. Second half. A flat. Okay, so that's a little example of embellishing the melody, and that little phrase that we looked at can really help when you're playing solo or embellishing a melody. Okay, so that was point number 2. I hope everyone's doing well. Point number 3 is melody and thirds. This is a nice little sound which you can use. I sometimes use this. Yeah, so basically we're playing the melody. I sometimes do this, so I thought it might be something could help you. So basically we got you could play it here as well. Okay, so the melody is, and we're going. Okay. You can also do it here. It's just a nice little sound if it's going along. Always kind of sounds pretty cute when you pull it out. So it's a nice little one to learn. The fingerings, the chart is there, Bob. It's there, Brent. It's in that section, Live with Robin, Swing She Town Part 2. There's 4 charts I put there, one with the melody and the chords. There's one chart there with the melody and thirds, which is that thing I was just playing. And there's some other things which is coming up. Brent says, what was that little embellishment you did a moment ago there? You went across the fretboard around the 10th fret. I'm not sure, Brent. Was that when I was doing the thirds, or was it something else? 10th fret. Just point it out if I do it again, or just, yeah, I'm not sure exactly where you mean, Brent. So melody and thirds, it can sound great, okay? Yeah, okay, cool, Brent. So bum, bum. And by the way, this tune, you know, when you're playing this tune in a jam session at a festival or on the bandstand, wherever, you're not realistically going to play bum, bum, bum. More than likely, unless you count it in, it's going to be like so, you know, just be aware that sometimes the tempo gets a bit fast, and then all this stuff which you kind of can go out the window. So it's worth kind of always trying to increase your threshold of how fast you can be comfortable playing this melody. And you don't have to be technically, you know, really giftedly technically, but if you just in. It's more like. More than likely going to be at least that tempo. Brent says no before the thirds. Sorry. Okay. I'll see if I do it again, then point it out. So just be aware of the tempo on this one. Now the next section. This is where we really look at soloing. I call it a walk through the changes. So basically, we're going to walk through the chord changes of Swing She Tam. And for each chord, I'll show you a kind of couple of little ideas, things which I find handy when I'm, you know, in a soloing situation. So we start with G minor, right? Then we go to A7, then we go to D7 and G minor, right? Here's one arpeggio which I think works nicely, which I use quite a lot. So for G minor, so instead of thinking of always starting on the root of the G, you're playing G minor, you think, okay. But it's nice starting on the third. So that's the minor third of G minor, right? It's B flat. And if you get this shape under your fingers, it can be really handy. So here we go. And you can use it as a major as well. This would be B flat major or G minor, right? That's the relative major minor. So it works for B flat major and it works for G minor, okay? So we start on the B flat and then we're going to go, okay? So B flat, D, G, okay? 6th fret on the E string, 5th fret on the A string, 5th fret on the D string, okay? So even before we go further, it's going along. Right, this is a kind of a nice base to build some nice ideas from. So let's carry on. So B flat. So the arpeggio would be B flat, D, G, B flat again. B flat, D, G, B flat, and slide there with your second finger. So instead of going with your pinky, with your second finger. This is kind of the way this music goes. A lot of these arpeggios and the way that Django played, of course, because he had 2 fingers, kind of goes this way, right? Linear rather than that way. So instead of kind of go, you know, you kind of move up and down this way. So a couple of these little shapes can really help you. So, and then you're on the D, G, B flat, and the a D. So in slow motion. Okay, again. All right, that's going to work over G minor, right? Right? So really kind of visualize that, as well as listening to the notes, feeling it under your fingers, realizing it's working for G minor. And be aware that it would also work for B flat major, right? The relative major minor. So you can kind of get twice the value out of that one lick, arpeggio, whatever. You think in G minor, then it will work in B flat major as well. So in this case, it's G minor. So very useful kind of, you can get a lot of mileage out of. There's lots of ways to kind of, that I use bass in that arpeggio as kind of a, what do you call it? Kind of just a nice kind of linchpin of something I can, you know, use chromatics and use other things around, but it kind of gives me a solid kind of bass to improvise from. Right, here's the G minor. D, G. Right, I use that a lot, or even just. And then going up. D. There's the D. There's the octave, right? That note sounds great, right? Right, there's G minor. When we go to the A7, here's just an example of a diminished arpeggio kind of idea. So you can use diminished when you're at A7, right? You want to improvise, you want to solo over an A7 chord. Remember, we said we could take the second fret, diminished shape, right, on the second fret. We know that we can go every 3 frets. Well, when you're doing an arpeggio, you can use one of the many things you can use is from the major third. So we've got A, then we've got, there's the C sharp, which is the major third of A, right? 1, 2, 3. So when we're at A7, we can go, right? Start an arpeggio like that. Right? Right over A7. So C sharp, E, G, B flat, C sharp, E again, G, B flat, there's the tension. Right, back to the A. So if we're going slow motion, which I suggest you do, remember, just record an A7 on your phone, okay, and practice playing it over. You go. Right, there's that diminished. For A7, that diminished idea. And again, I'm not throwing loads of ideas at you. I think it's just, if you can absorb each of these ideas one at a time and actually start to use them, then that's what's going to really make you a better player. You know, instead of just taking all this stuff on and getting overwhelmed, really, it's better just taking a couple of these ideas and going with them. Like I said, in the section where this video will live, I've posted, or I will post, I've just recorded them, a couple of backing tracks. One of Swing G10 at 120 beats per minute, like something like, and then one at a bit slower, so like, so you can practice these solo ideas at those tempos in the same place. So that'll help. And like I said, if there's changes which you're having a struggle, for example, going between 2 chords, then get your phone out and isolate those changes, and then just really try and work your way through those. Just practice over changes. The thing that the danger is if you just practice arpeggios and scales and stuff isolated from actual music, then obviously no one gets to a jam session and says, hey, let's play a G minor 6 arpeggio, or hey, let's all play a C major scale. It doesn't happen, of course. It's like, let's play Swing G 10, or let's play All of Me. So you have to keep all these ideas in context of actual music, of actual things that will happen when you meet other people and play this music. So that's the thing which you want to try and keep in mind. So we've got G minor for 2 bars, A7 for 2 bars, and we've got this idea so far. So G minor, right? So obviously we would never improvise like that, but this really gives us kind of something to latch onto and build from, an ornament like, so this is just something to latch on. When we get to the D7, remember what I said about the dominant 7th? We can use the diminished arpeggio from the major 3rd. So D7, the major 3rd is F sharp, right? There's the F sharp. Right? And all the diminished arpeggio is just a series of minor thirds, right? I don't think of it like that, but that's what it is. Okay, Brent says, for me to drill it into my head, I will often play the phrase backwards to help me get it forward. You're onto something there, Brent. Brent says to help him get these phrases into his head, he'll play it backwards to help him get it forwards. Whatever it takes. You know what? We're all individuals, and we've all got our weird ways of weird and wonderful ways of learning this music. And if it works for you, that's great. Right now, I'm trying to just break it down and give you some shapes that you can work. So when you're on a D7, right, that's the diminished sound you can use, right? And it doesn't have to be something like really rhapsodic and crazy. It could just be like playing over D7, right? You got to get that sound. Here we go. It doesn't have to be burning and shredding over this, so don't let that put you off. You can still use these ideas in a nice soulful and musical way. Okay, so we're going over D7, we can use, and then we're back to G minor, right? Right, and you can your ear kind of guides you back to G minor there. So far we've got G minor, 2 bars, A7, right? D7, and then we're going to go back to G minor. Okay, and then improvising. We're going to go. Right, that would be an idea which I would play. And now when I play that, you can kind of recognize the ideas that I'm using to get that sound. And by knowing these shapes and building them up slowly, it basically just gives you more confidence that when you're playing over these changes, you're not going to sound, like if you're in the dark and you don't know what you're doing, then it's going to sound terrible, right? So these little shapes will really guide you through these changes, and just practice over and over again. Zacharias says, keep the comments coming. It's great. Something that helps me to internalize these concepts is to watch and listen to video lessons all the way through without a guitar. Interesting. Memory is like a muscle. Got to work it. Yeah. Then spend time on guitar and rewinding the challenging parts. Thanks, Robin. Yeah. Look, if you've got, it all depends on how many hours or minutes we've got in a day to dedicate to learning this music. And yeah, it's beautiful if you can sit and kind of absorb this and listen to it. Then second viewing, grab your guitar and get it. That's great. And a lovely way to kind of absorb it. So I agree with you there, Zachariah. And if you're sitting there and you've only got like 5 minutes, 10 minutes in the day, practice over chord changes, right? Practice over things that you will actually play with your mates when you meet them. Hopefully you've got a mate who plays this and you've decided on tunes you're going to play. Pick those tunes and then actually practice improvising over those chord changes and focus in on particular bits which are giving you problems. This is really obvious stuff, but sometimes we get so distracted and then we get to meet our friends, mates, and play music and we're lost, so we want to just keep an eye on what we're actually going to play with people when we play this music. So we got through the first half. When you get to A flat, here's just an example of, remember I said that G minor, that's G minor starting on the minor third. That's also B flat major, right? Starting on the root. When we get to A flat major, right, we can actually go, the same arpeggio as that B flat, except starting on the A flat, right? So, right, that's just the basic outline. So it's going, right? This is the sound we want to improvise. This is the arpeggio. Right, A flat. So we can go. Same as F minor, but it's A flat. You know what? So every time I talk about theory, even in my own mind, it kind of gets confusing. Even though that's kind of basic theory, the relative major to minor, F minor is got the same key signature as A flat major, right? So anything in F minor is going to work for A flat and vice versa. Anyway, there's an arpeggio for A flat. And when you're improvising over that bit, there was a question before we start the session from Volker, who said, I don't find nice voicings for the A flat, and it's hard for me to connect it with the G minor in a harmonic way. So he's talking about connecting, playing solo over the A flat to the G minor. And you know what? You don't have to connect it. It's just a blatant shift, upper fret, major, back down to minor. You don't have to worry about that, Volker. So you can just kind of go, or A flat major. Here's A flat major, right? Right, this little triangle, which we know from D, right? We all know the D shape. Of course, this little shape can help. There's D, there's E, there's F, there's G, there's A flat. So there's the A flat. So we got to play. This simple little shape can go a really long way. So if you're playing over A flat, right, just knowing that that's A flat can really kind of like, right, can really help you on that bit when we're in this tune, playing it over A flat, and then back to G minor. G minor, A flat, right, nice and simple. That outlines the A flat. Then we've got G minor again. Excuse me. Then we got 2 bars of A7 and 2 bars of D7. And again, just reiterating the over the A7, D7, using a diminished sound. Sounds really great. Okay. And then we're in the second half, and it's basically the same as the first half. So G minor. I'm just going to keep these shapes to a few little shapes so you can hopefully kind of take one of these into your playing and start using it. So we're back to G minor, A7, D7, G minor, A flat, G minor, ending where you got 1 bar of A7, 1 bar of D7, G minor. So you can go, there's that diminished, that lovely tension chord, which is, I'll get to that in a second. I've got some crispy chords. Back to G minor, okay? So what you should do after you've watched this session, I'll have these play along videos in this section, right, which I keep talking about, the Live with Robin. There'll be this lesson posted as a video. You got the 4 charts. You've got 2 videos, which are me sitting there playing the chords for you. So if you feel up for it, it's a great way to practice is just try out the melody, try embellishing the melody, and try to introduce some of these solo ideas with those videos when you're practicing, okay? And that will really help you in improvising over this tune. And like I say, when you're learning the melody, really memorize it, and learn this tune so you're really ready to play it. Bob says, starting the diminished shape on the major third solved a huge mystery for me. Thanks. That's great. I love solving mysteries. So that's great, Bob. I'm really happy to help. And what Bob's talking about is if you're playing over A7, right, it's A7, and you want to use this diminished arpeggio idea, which diminished, you don't use A diminished, right? You can use the major third. So that's kind of a handy one to know. You can go and then start the diminished arpeggio from the major third of the, right? And then there's the major third. If you're playing over E7, right, you want to play over E7 and give it the diminished sound, and you could start with the G sharp, right? 1, 2, 3, that's the major third, and then whatever. So it's going on the E7. And like I said before, it doesn't have to be something really fancy. It can just be those notes. Right? So that's the thing. If you know that you can start on a major third, that really helps. We're at another little section now, which is octaves. I've got some octaves to show you. The chart is in the section, so don't worry if you don't catch it right now. There's a nice line which goes through this whole piece when you improvise, which actually is in the melody. So it's da, 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 A7, da, da, D, da, 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 to the A flat, da, da. Okay, so basically, if you take that D note, right, this is another way to think about improvising, really. You're looking for a line to carve through the changes, which eliminates having to think about arpeggios, scales, and licks. This line works for this song, right? So start on the D, right? That's the first note of the melody, right? That note. So da, da, da. It's down a fret, and again, da, 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 and then down a da, da. So da, do, da, do, da, do, do, da, right? So that little line, which just goes down the G string there, is a really nice way to improvise. And so if it was going up tempo and I wanted to do a solo and I thought I don't want to tackle all these arpeggios and stuff, I might go like, if it's like 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. You know what I mean? So I'm basing this kind of rhythmical way of playing, groovy way of playing, which really works. Just around this line, okay? And we can do that with octaves. We can go. So we're starting on the D, and then we're going to go to C sharp, and then we're going to go to C, and then down to B flat, right? And this is this octave lick where the chart is in the section. So it's, and then we're going to go, right? And this is the first 3 notes of the G minor scale. G, A, B flat, right? Okay, but we're going to base the beginning of the lick with the D note, and each time we play the phrase, we're going to descend the bass note. So G minor is going to sound A7, D7, G minor, right? So if you did that in a more groovy way, it would sound something like this. Right, see see how that can start to sound really groovy. The chart is in the section, so don't worry if this is kind of confusing. You can, in your own time, you can get those fingerings down. But basically, the concept of this octave lick is using that G minor to A7, using the C sharp, C for the D7, right, B for the G minor. So, right, that really can help when you're improvising. And the last section here, I've got crispy solo chords. Students really like these. And basically the whole concept of playing using chords in your solo is usually you're looking for inversions of chords for each of the changes: G minor, A7, D7, and G minor, and the A flat. You're looking for inversions on the top 4 strings of the guitar. So, for example, the G minor easiest one might be right G minor 9, right? So when it's going right G minor, you go like right. There's the G minor 9. When it gets to the A7, we know we can go 2nd fret diminish. Any of these chords sound really good below a fret itself, above the fret. So it kind of gives it that big band kind of sound when you go. Whichever way feels comfortable for you. That's A7, D7. There's that tension chord we looked at the beginning, remember? It's a diminished shape on the 4th fret, but works great for D7. So you take the diminished shape on the 4th fret, extend the pinky, and you've got D7. Right? Back to G minor. A chord for A flat. Right, that could be A flat major. Right? The 9th, that's the 9th on top. G minor, A7, D7. Right, so if I was going to play the chorus, another nice G minor is this one. Right, so right, hear that? So barred on the 8th fret, then that's a nice sound for G minor. And again, it's really important. To give it that kind of jazzy kind of big band sound, which kind of brings these chords to life. So okay, so I'll do a chorus of chord solo over Swing She Tan, and check out the chart for this as well. All these chords are written out. So here we go. Swing She Tan. 1, 2, or 1, 2, 3. G minor, A7, D7, G minor, A flat. Easy. G minor, A7, D7, G minor, A7, D7, G minor, A flat major, simple, G minor, A7, D7, back home there to the G minor. So just kind of remember the concept. You're looking for an inversion of the chord you're playing over. So you need one for G minor, you need one for A7, you need one for D7, and you need one for A flat. They're the 4 chords in this tune, right? So you only need 4. And then you can kind of put a rhythmical thing to them, and it's a nice part of your solo, okay? Which will sound great. So that's the lesson plan, okay? Just remember, just to recap, we were looking at Swing She Tan, looking at melody and the soloing. We learned the basic melody, okay? Remember, from that shape, right? We looked at embellishing a melody, which if we could learn that one thing, right? Have a play with that. Melody in thirds. This is just a cute way to play the melody, which sound good. Right, that can sound pretty cute. The chart's got that. A walk through the changes. We kind of looked at in this walk through the changes, we looked at right, simple arpeggio shapes, which can kind of give you a basis. And don't worry if you get one note wrong, big deal. Just keep going and use your ears. This just gives you a guide through. And the more you play them through these chords, the more it'll feel comfortable, right? Octaves, that nice octave idea, which was based on the D. D, do, do, so like do, 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 do. Really nice thing that you can use in your solos for the octaves. And then we looked at those crispy chords, the 4-note inversions on the top 4 strings. So that's it for this Live with Robin session. When I get off, I'm going to post this video, so it'll be in the section in a minute, and also I'll post 2 play along sections. So basically, I'll play the chords for you, and you can practice playing the melody and practice improvising. And it doesn't matter, no one's listening. So just go for it and follow your ear. And if you get to a bit where you're always getting stuck, pick up your phone, record the 2 chords or the chord you're having a problem with, and just try and figure it out. And trust your ear, trust your instinct as well. Don't use your head too much with the arpeggios and stuff, but trust your ear as well. Don't forget that. And of course, most of all, have fun with all this. It's actually meant to be fun. It is fun. A couple of bits of news as well. We're just about to start the Gypsy Jazz Breakthrough Retreat in Amsterdam tomorrow. We're having the champagne reception. We got people come from all over the world, America, Lebanon, Germany. I think there's a Dutch guy, English guys coming, and we're going to have a great 4 days. So I'll try and post maybe a couple of videos up in the forum here of a couple of the lessons, the workshops, and the jam sessions. It's going to be a big fun. Also, the other bit of news, which we haven't announced yet, is that we've developed an app, a Gypsy Jazz Transfusion app. So you can get an app which will sit on your phone. At the moment, it's just for iPhone. What's that, iOS or AOL? I'm not very good at that. iOS devices. But that will be handy. You can use the forum, the campfire, and all the lessons from your phone. Gypsy Jazz Transfusion Club app. I think it's actually on the App Store right now, but we haven't announced it yet. So you might want to check it out. And let me just check the questions. There was questions before. Yeah, there was Folker asking about that A flat. Don't worry about being too subtle with the A flat to the G minor, Folker. It's just a blatant shift up there. Somebody said, John said, thanks again. All these tips with a little thought can be used over many songs. That's true. I like the bit with a little thought. I think that's we don't want any more than that, do we, John? I think I'm going to see you tomorrow in Amsterdam. Look forward to that. Brent says, always a pleasure and enlightening. Thank you. Thank you, Brent. It's really great that you could join us here. And Bob says, these insights are such a huge leg up. Thank you so much. That really means a lot, Bob. And I love doing this, and gives me a lot of pleasure. And I learn a lot myself as well. So Andreas says, when will the Android version of the app be released? I'm not sure, Andreas. As soon as possible, that's for sure. It always goes like this. It seems that the iOS comes out first, and then the Android will follow. But for now, guys who've got iOS devices can get that app. And it's not officially announced yet, but I think you can actually get it. That's it. So wish you a great day, great evening, wherever you're watching from. If you got any suggestions for a Live with Robin, just get in touch. Come to the Ask Robin section. And if you need anything, go to the Ask Robin section. We'll carry on the discussion on this Swing She Tan Part 2 session in the Live with Robin section for that, where I'm going to post all this stuff. So have a great day. Thanks for joining. And like I always say, stay inspired. See you soon.